All right, how's it going out there, everybody? I'm Derrick Wali Anderson. This is Wired with Wali. I just wanted to go live really quickly and touch on a really interesting topic today. The topic is luck. What is luck? How lucky are you? And can luck be engineered? And the conversation came from actually a video I was watching from a guy named Kevin Trudeau. And he talked about the fact that luck can be engineered, and this is probably something that you haven't heard before. I thought it was really interesting, the angle that he took as he shared some stories and things like that from his youth, and how he started to see himself from an unlucky person to somebody who actually is lucky, and all these lucky chain of events started to happen to him. And I just thought it was interesting, so much so it made me think about my own luck and how lucky I am, or how lucky I see myself to be, and also times where I felt as if what's happening to me in this moment cannot be random. It cannot be random. Something is happening behind the scenes. I don't know if it was a state that I was in, something that I visualized previously, but times when I thought like I'm the luckiest man in the world. And I'll give you a few scenarios like him. I had a few situations where I won something. I remember my wife and I, we went to, this is probably like 10 or 15 years ago, we went to some type of work party that she had. And it was pretty much one of those situations where you can take a raffle and then enter it in to the drawing and win a prize. And I think we won like an Xbox or something like that. Either we won two things in one night, and another time we did a drawing. I think we won like an iPad or something like that. So I was feeling lucky at that point. I was feeling myself like, man, like things just work out for me. This is amazing, and it made me reflect a little bit to the state that I was in. That made me think whether or not how you feel or see yourself in the state that you're in, thoughts you think, feelings you feel, can attract things out there to basically prove you right for that mode that you're in, that space that you're in. And going back to Kevin's video, what he shared was pretty much you can engineer your own luck, and it was pretty interesting. For me, he talked a lot about being clear on that thing you want, being crystal clear on that thing, and obviously things tools like visualization, self hypnosis, definitely can help out in a big way as far as being clear on what you want and seeing those things. Also, he talked about detachment, like being detached from the result. For example, if I win, like my mindset going into these drawings, these random drawings, or if I win one of these items, cool. If I don't, that's cool too. I was just happy to be at the event with my lady. So either way, if I won something, cool. If I didn't, that works. Either way, I was good to go. And that, I think it's a skill really of being so detached from the result that it doesn't bother you either way. It's something that's really, really powerful, and I'm seeing that every single day in my own life. On top of that, I think it's a few ways to engineer luck. Obviously, being clear on what you want, being detached from the result, and that's all like happening internally as far as like visualization and how you see yourself and how you would feel if this thing works out or if it doesn't. I think it's another way to engineer luck too, and it's more of a, I would say, as far as your work ethic and what you do to make yourself feel lucky. Obviously, if you are in, let's say, a sales job and you have a quota of making 40 outbounds a day, 40 cold calls a day, and you make 100 cold calls, at the end of the month, you're gonna find yourself lucky from that standpoint, because things are just gonna work out for you naturally because you're taking more effort, you're putting in more work, and you're gonna get a better result. So I think that part is really interesting. And it made me think about a way to not only engineer luck, but to test myself. So I have a couple ways that I'm approaching. I just shared them with you. For the next 30 days, I'm going to do a demonstration with myself. Well, that sounds really crazy. I'm going to do a self hypnosis session with myself every single morning, visualizing, being really clear, and also detaching myself from the result. And also, I'm gonna do a little bit of what I shared earlier about if you were in a sales gig or opportunity, and your quota was to make 40 cold calls a day, and you end up making double that every single day. And at the end of the month or end of the week, I'm pretty sure you're gonna find yourself a very lucky person just by putting that effort in. So I really want to challenge myself just for the next 30 days, just to see where I end up. And then I do want to share some stories with you where I found myself, why I felt at this moment I was being exposed to something that made me feel really, really lucky. So I'm gonna do the work on the mental side, visualizing, make sure I'm detached from the result, and also doing things to see myself lucky at the end of the month based off the effort and things that I'm putting in, going above and beyond. Obviously, I run my own business, and there's things that I can do to make me feel lucky when this month is over. So I'm gonna do both of those, do a test for myself. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna circle back at the end of the 30 days. I'm gonna share the mental exercises that I was doing every single day, as well as these extra things that I was doing every single day. So I'm taking action, not only in my mind, mentally with the visualization and other self-hypnosis techniques, but in the business, doing different things, testing different things, and I'm going to do both of those because I'm going to test myself because this video that I watched from Kevin Trudeau, it really put me in a spot to be reflective and really just kind of see what's going on, be reflective. That's usually what I do when I watch a video or listen to a podcast, something that I found insightful. I often sit back and reflect and take a look at myself, and not in a egotistical way, make it all about me, but really like just do some reflection and see what can I extract from that bit of content and add value to my own personal life, my family's life, and ultimately the people who come into my business, my clients. So that's usually what I do when I come across something pretty insightful. And this was one of those videos that I found myself saying, um, let's let's look at luck differently. Let's not look at it from just rolling the dice. Let's look at it from a stance of, can luck be engineered? And I absolutely believe it can. Right. So one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and these are just amazing stories, amazing stories. Obviously, I was in the military, served in the Navy and the Army. Public service wise, I served as a career firefighter and a volunteer firefighter, and I actually have stories from both of these experiences. Way back when I was in the United States Army, and I was stationed in the DMV area, and not too far from me, I came across a volunteer firefighter, which was interesting because in the Navy, prior to serving in the Army, I ended up being a DC man, a damage controlman, which is a shipboard firefighter. And I got the opportunity to do that. I wanted more, and the thought of transitioning, possibly transition at the time outside of the military, I wanted to be in a environment where I was serving on a day to day. And for me, it seemed like firefighting was a fit. Um, I decided it'd be a good idea for me to test it out and be a volunteer firefighter. And this is where the luck comes in. Every 6 days, I will have duty at the fire station. And as luck would have it, I had the opportunity to meet one of the most incredible people I've ever met in real life. Hands down. I mean, the stories about this man were just incredible, and he will be a person that you would describe as like super wealthy or super rich, somebody like that. I don't remember what it was for. I think it was some type of mathematician or mathematics, but he was really good with numbers, long story short. And throughout this process of getting educated, getting all these credentials and degrees and stuff like that, he was also a city cop in Virginia in the DMV area, and he became a cop as well, and he was just making these climbs not only his in his public service career, but also as an entrepreneur on the side. And what's so impressive was he instilled I would say, the idea to serve the community into all of his kids. But what was so amazing about this man was this man retired after 20, 30 years of service as a police officer. I won't say the name, and he's very, very private. And he was building these companies with his business partners and end up amassing, let's just say, what is it, 8, 9 figure wealth. He had that. So he had this going and he was working that career, retired. I think he moved away from the business, sold his stake in I want to say it without giving too much away. He sold his stake in, let's say, a banking company, some type of banking company that started out doing credit and lending to what he described was lending, issuing credit to folks. I don't want to get too crazy and I don't want to say too much. Again, he's very private and people like that shouldn't be. Like, let me pause. People like that are amazing. People like that is do something really, really amazing for this world. But anyway, he amassed this huge wealth, sold his shares, retired, bought homes all across the DMV area, bought a plane, which I'm gonna come back to as well, a couple planes if I'm not mistaken, and a home down in Florida. What is so amazing about this man was every sixth day that he had duty, he would fly his own plane from Florida to the DMV area to do his volunteer service and then fly back in the morning when we got off duty. So the weekdays, how it works was you would come into duty at 6 p.m. I think it was Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. And then in the morning, you would be able to leave at 6 o'clock. Usually in the fire service, you try to get there a little bit early to give the off-going shift a little bit of break. So you probably get there at 5:30, 5:45. Some people even showed up at 5 p.m. if they could do it. That means chances are in the morning you will be able to get relieved a little bit early. And for me, that worked out because I would leave my job at the Army. I would leave that base, probably go home, kiss my family, grab my other uniforms, change, all that good stuff, and I would go down the road to the volunteer house. What I found to be so amazing about this guy was he would fly his plane in from Florida and from there go to his other house, get his car, drive to the station, do his service, and do the whole thing in reverse. Drive his car back to his other house and then fly his plane back to, I guess it'll be his main house. And man, I used to sit down and I used to just try to pick his brain. It was things that he taught me that really shaped how I move. Like being in a position where I want to serve people, I make that the primary thing to serve people and give value as best I can. Those was one of the things that he installed in me. He also taught me really. I was always curious about learning more, so I like books. But he used to say things like, "Oh no, read this book. Like when you read with intention." So it was a book, like because books have an opportunity to shape you, as do your regular experiences in life, as does the music that you listen to. It has an opportunity to shape you in a positive way, a really impactful way. So he used to teach me things like that. Another thing that he did that was impressive to me was he used to, and I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I'm gonna be so honest with you guys right now. I wanted to be wherever he was. Wherever he was. If he was riding the ambulance, I wanted to be on the ambulance. Like the fires truck was really cool and doing all those things with all the interesting tools, all that stuff was amazing. But if that man was riding on the ambulance, I wanted to be on the ambulance with him. Just so I can catch stuff in passing. Like the things that he just throw out there. That could be nothing to him, like because he's at that level now and he's just he was just a great person to be around. And I learned so much from him. So I want to just catch as much as I can. I can remember him, and this is not to call out anybody. This is more of a reflection on myself. At this point, I didn't know, or maybe Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I He brought that up to me one night. I think we were logging our reports. So we in there, we in the office where you log your reports and everything. After going on the call, either you can do it on the tough book, or you can come back to the station and you can log it and everything. It's more comfortable, it's more relaxed, and you can really just lock in. You're not rushing. You got time to really just take everything that happens and put it all in there in the report. So I feel like it's better that way. man, he used to sit in that. We used to sit in there. He would just say stuff, and it used to just blow my mind. I feel lucky to have that interaction with him. He taught me about reading books that's gonna make an impact in your life. He taught me about Maslow's hierarchy of need and where he is on that scale. He taught me one thing. I think I pulled up my email because he sent something over to me, and he was like, "Did you get it? Check your email." And I pulled up my email, and at this point, I had like thousands of emails. And he was like, in the nicest way possible, he told me, clean up that inbox. What are you doing? And that's how he looked at it. It pretty much like, keep yourself tidy. He said to me, it was like, man, you sure do got a lot of unread emails. And I was like, yeah, I know. I got to get on that. I didn't know what to say, because obviously he could see the 18,000 emails in my inbox. And I didn't know what to say. And he was just like, yeah, if you're not going to use it, get rid of it because it's taking up space. I'm like, what you mean by that? Like I was thinking that he meant taking up space in my inbox, and I'm thinking like, okay, I see I got this much 15 or whatever the gigabits they give you back then. But he was like, anything that you're not using is taking up space, and I think what he meant was like a bandwidth point of view. Like if you're not using it, lose it, get rid of it because it's taking up space, it's taking up energy, and that could potentially be at your detriment and slow you down. So just so many things that I learned from him, and I felt lucky to be around him. Another thing he used to do, um, that was just awesome, and it was just awesome. It was awesome. He would, especially on Saturdays, and Saturdays was different. Saturdays was a 24-hour shift. So when you logged in on Saturday or Sunday for that 6 hour, not 6 hour, that 6 day split, you were there for all day. So if you came in at 6 in the morning, you would leave 6 in the morning Sunday. Or if you came in Sunday, you would leave Monday, 6 in the morning. Be a 24-hour shift. And what he would do was, it wasn't never in a way like, never like flexing. Obviously, he had it, so he can walk in stores and just buy stores, which is really cool. But he used to take the whole crew out to lunch, whether he was working on the engine, working on the ambulance. He would say, get whatever you want. I'm going to pay the bill. Just make sure you guys leave a tip. So whoever was with us, you needed to have cash on you. If you was going out to eat with him, he was going to pay whatever was there, and whoever was left at that table needed to ante up the tip for the people. And he was like, tip well, tip well. It works for your reputation when you tip well. And I was just stuff like that that can go a long way. And I think from that point, I probably became a bigger tipper. And it does help when you go back to a store that you visit often. They're going to treat you better. You're going to get the food faster. And it's just going to be a better experience. So just things that I learned from him in passing were were amazing. And those one of the moments where I felt lucky looking back because had I not joined that volunteer fire department, it's just so much growth that I would have missed out on. And I'm so happy that I was able to be on that crew and just listen to him speak. Like I would sit there like this, just looking at him, like say something, because it was just so much value coming out of him, and it really changed how I saw things. And one thing that I do want to share was when he showed things. Obviously, he had a couple planes, and I think what's interesting about him was I think he flew his own like a plane, like something that requires a PPL, and then he had a bigger plane as well, like a jet. And I think he hired one of his family members to be the pilot. Like it was his niece. It's amazing. That is incredible stuff. Those are the type of things I aspire to do. Yes, I do want my own plane. I want to be able to fly it back and forth. I want to be able to fly all over the world and serve people live and really do good things out there in the world, do good deeds. And I also want to be able to fly my family to a place that could be, 3, 4, 5 hours away. Just, hey family, hop on a plane and go here and visit family or do this or have this experience. I want to be able to do stuff like that. And I think meeting him really planted that seed. So I will have my own plane that I'm flying my family around and doing shows and live events and things like that. And I can thank him for planting that seed because I grew up, I didn't really grew up in the hood. If that makes sense to you guys, I grew up in an environment where you were not thinking about flying your own plane. That wasn't a thought passing through my head. A lot of people didn't even have passports, and if they drove to New York from New Jersey, it was a vacation. So to be able to have that interaction with somebody was transformative, and I aspired to be the type of person that could interact with a person, a young person, and inspire them and plant seeds that's gonna do amazing things in their lives. So I'm really lucky to have met him, to have served with him, and just been able to be a fly on the wall when he's having these conversations and just dropping gems. And there's just so many other things that I could share about my interactions with him, but overall, just transformative. Um, so yeah, that was my experience where I felt lucky. Another opportunity that I had that I was blessed with that I just felt extremely lucky. I was a career firefighter. I was about to say active duty firefighter. I was leaving the army, became a career firefighter, and at this stage of my life, becoming a firefighter was like really transformative for me, and I felt like it came full circle. Being a firefighter in the Navy, then doing it as a volunteer while on that, then doing it in a career capacity after the army. So it was really full circle for me. Great experience. Got to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of great experiences, a lot of crazy stories too. But one story in particular, um, it really changed the way I see things, and I felt lucky. I feel like this experience really planted something in me. So you guys know I left the army and I became a firefighter, and I think the yes, for sure. The pay was a big difference because firefighters they work that 24 on, 48 off kind of schedule. So the pay was very different. I think I took like a 50% cut, which looking back was crazy. I'm grateful for the experiences, and who knows where would I have been if I didn't take that opportunity to go to the fire department. But I say all of that to say I was working a lot of overtime. I was working so much overtime. It got to a point where I was getting in trouble. They were saying like, "Hey, man, we got rules on OT, the amount of hours that you can work in a week." I had to tell my station guy, you know, I took a cut. I was being transparent. Like, hey, I took a big pay cut, and I'm just trying to make up the difference. And of course, he understood, but he was like, hey, man, it's not safe. So I get it. You need to take it to that limit, but we gotta make sure that we abide by the rules for everybody's safety, not just yours, but the people of the crew, the station, and also the community that we're serving. I'm like, that makes sense. So I took it to that line, but I didn't go above anymore. But one time I was working overtime, and it was in a part of the county that they call South County, and I worked in under Anne Arundel County Fire Department in Maryland, and man, just so happens I worked at this station in South County, one of the slowest stations I've ever been on. But it was a blessing because that day I showed up for overtime wasn't my shift. The station chief told me, and they was pretty excited, like, "Hey, we're going over to the island." I'm like, "What are y'all talking about? I never worked at the station before." It was like, "Hey, a person, a man. I think he was a author. He was an author. He owns his own island with homes and even a couple other families live on there, but he owns the whole island and all the compounds on his land, which was amazing to me. I'm thinking like this is unreal. So with that experience, of course, South County they use a lot of boats and things like that because it's mainly like sea obviously, with him living on an island and things like that. So I got to do a whole lot that day that I've never done before. Before that, it was either the truck, the engine, or ambulance. Truck, engine, ambulance. This time I'm riding on boats. So we took a boat. We drove to the shore. Took a boat to the island, which was amazing. And it was a once a year check that we did the entire premises. Make sure all the safety requirements were up to code, because obviously if it's a fire on that structure, it's going to take us a little bit of time to get there. If it's a fire on that piece of land, it's going to take us a little longer to get there. So they have more things in place just to make sure that all bases were covered and the people were safe. So it was a large lighthouse, and I guess this is where the author did his writing. And we had to go up there and see that. And I was brand new. I was fresh out the fire academy, trying to figure it out. Making up that overtime. And it was like, hey, pretty much, hey, rookie, go do this, go do that, go up there. I'm like, I got it. You don't got to tell me twice. This is someone's life, and it's a beautiful life that they made for themselves. Those are things that I definitely want to aspire to have, my own island. How many people can say I went to a private island and I walked around every inch of that compound? I met the people, shook hands, and walked through all the spaces, and I was blown away. I was blown away. I felt like after that experience, I was really reflective of myself. I sat back and I thought, how can I build a life like that? How can I build a life like that? And that's just me being reflective and being inspired and feeling lucky to have the opportunity to do that. One, share space with an amazing man that I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to meet. Another one was being able to walk through a private island. It's definitely because of that other experience. So things like that go a long way. Had I not been a career firefighter, on that day, I would have never had the opportunity to meet or actually visit a private island and be inspired to have one. So those are just a couple stories. I felt lucky to be there, and these are things that I aspire to accomplish and share with other people and plant a seed. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And this all came from me watching the video on Kevin Trudeau's YouTube channel. It's really cool. You guys should check it out. It's called The Kevin Trudeau Show, and it's limitless. I hope you guys are doing well. Expect more of these inspired talks coming to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions? If you guys are interested in what we do here at Dream with a Deadline, which is help people accomplish their goals in minutes, not months, rewire how you live and how you go after the things that mean the most to you. One of our slogans is dream big, act fast, and finish what matters most. And that all came from personal stories, personal experiences that I've been through, where I felt like if I had a certain tool, or if I had just this one thing, it could have put me over the top. And I want to be able to be that resource to folks. I want to be able to sit folks down, and if they're having issues with their confidence, work on that confidence to get them to that next level, whether it be something in their career, performance based, or even just personal life. I really want to serve people at the highest level. And I believe you do that, getting people to that next best level of themselves. You do it up here. It all happens upstairs with your mindset and rewiring your mind. So winning and becoming that best version, taking that next best step becomes easy and effortless. So with that, I want to close up, guys. Luck can be engineered. I'm grateful for the lucky experiences that I've had in the past. And over the next 30 days, I'm going to engineer luck, and I'm going to do it two ways: mentally, by visualization and self-hypnosis, and the other way is taking massive action and being completely detached from the result. That's my experience that I have for you guys. I hope you guys got some value. If you're interested, check out that video that I talked about earlier from Kevin Trudeau. It was really insightful. Any questions on how we can help with our hypnotherapy and subconscious mind rewiring, feel free to reach out. You can find me on all social medias, DerrickWaliAnderson.com, or you can visit my website, dreamwiththedeadline.com/work with me. That's all I have for you guys today. As always, I want you guys to dream big, act fast, and finish what matters most. I'll see you on the next one.